shortly. On behalf of Transformers and over 100 volunteers, we want to welcome you to this Transforming the Community Breakfast. We are so excited to be back doing this again, and this is our 10th year of doing amazing work. Over the next hour, we'll eat, hear about the important work of Transformers, and be given the opportunity to support that work. We'll also be sharing the top 10 reasons, I'm sure there's no copyright problem there, top 10 reasons you should support Transformers from the past 10 years. And here is number 10. Collaborations across the community. Over the last 10 years, Transformers has collaborated with other social service agencies, churches, and businesses to reduce silos. We are not in competition with each other, but rather each providing a piece of the puzzle to make our community stronger and better. Today's breakfast sponsors represent some of those collaborations. These groups are sponsoring your breakfast today so that all funds can go directly to our programs. Monica's Pizza also donates meals to Getting Ahead regularly. Teachers Credit Union partners with us on our interest-free loans through Pay It Forward, which you'll hear more about later. TCU and Pam Lawyer. Pam, where'd you go? There she is. And her team are present this morning. Thank you guys for being here. Prime Real Estate, Eric Wolf. I see some Wolfian representation back there. Have been a member of Pay It Forward team in the past. Jack and Mary Jane Mace have generally supported us from the beginning. Asbury Towers Retirement Community has sponsored our breakfast all 3 years. And Vicki Jones and Chris, are you here? We had Asbury people on the list. Oh, I guess not. There's some Asbury board members here. Are here from Asbury. And speaking of collaborations, Transformers worked with Centerpoint Energy out of Evansville to host the first ever Putnam County Community Connect last October, which served over 100 families even with COVID restrictions. This was an opportunity to gather as many community resources as possible in one place on one day. We had 22 agencies or groups represented, and we were the first rural event Centerpoint has helped with. Centerpoint is vectored if you haven't figured that out yet from your bills. Your table hosts, I'm yours here at 5, and if you could all raise your hand if you're your table host, so your folks at your table know who you are. Will be a good source of information this morning, and if they don't have the answers, we will find it for you. It's all right to begin eating, and we'll let Reverend Langdot come on up and give us a blessing. And then we'll eat for a while, then we'll start talking again.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Just don't eat yet, don't eat yet. Anything you've consumed has not been blessed. Friends, let us pray. God, we give thanks for an opportunity to be together after years now of isolation, years of weariness. Let us not grow weary in doing good. So as we look around this room, we're mindful of relationships and how important relationships are in any work of transformation. So we give you thanks for this day and of course for this food as we eat. Make us mindful of those for whom finding food is difficult. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brian. So we'll give you a few minutes to visit at the tables and start getting a little food in you, and then we'll get the program going shortly. Thank you so much for being here. It's certainly a privilege to be here in front of you today.
Survived the week, forgot how that Oh, where are you?
Okay.
We actually
Okay, hot water and a coffee. Anything for you, sir? Okay, come right up. Fill up. You're good? Okay. I know.
Hi folks, it's me again. Keep on eating, keep on eating. It's hard to believe that Transformers has been serving the under-resourced families of Putnam County for 10 years. In 2011, Gobin began surveying over 40 community leaders regarding major needs of the people of Putnam County. Everyone agreed that poverty was negatively affecting families, especially our youth. A separate team called Transformers began researching ways to mentor youth and then sought to empower the parents as well. Since its inception, Transformers has engaged individuals, community not-for-profit organizations, and other faith-based groups, along with the support of city and county officials. First off, I'd like to introduce Laurie Miller, the coordinator of Getting Ahead and Pay It Forward, who will reveal the Transformers Top 10, number 9.
Yes, number 9. Our unique approach as Transformers is relationship-based. Getting Ahead participants say overwhelmingly that relationships made through Getting Ahead are more important than the topics discussed. This is the unique approach of each of our programs because we build relationships of mutual respect. We empower individuals seeking to transform their own lives. Not only are we collaborating with other resources in the community, but we are connecting individuals to those resources, building strong networks. Let me share a story with you. Losing both a husband and an adult son to suicide can be overwhelming, especially when your support system tells you just to get over it. This Getting Ahead participant found herself empty and alone, in her words, a shell of a person. Her second adult son, who had a drug problem, moved back into her home, and she reached out to Family Support Services to help her cope with her trauma. They recommended Getting Ahead, and she came. At first, she would hardly speak and couldn't keep herself from crying. But soon a connection began to grow with the other participants and allies, and she found herself opening up. For the first time, she felt hope and she felt loved. Unemployed when she started, another participant encouraged her to apply for a job at her place of employment. She got dressed up for the interview and admitted feeling more confident than she had ever felt in her life. She got the job. When the second stimulus check came out in the spring of 2021, she decided to invest in some online training that would equip her to follow her passion of helping the elderly. Even while working full-time, she was able to complete her training. She was faced with sexual harassment, and for the first time in her life, she stood up to a man, expressing her feelings and holding her ground. She moved from 10% on the federal poverty level to 176% on the federal poverty level in 6 months. But the transformation on the inside was immeasurable. Another Getting Ahead participant was leaving a domestic violence situation. She worked in Greencastle, but she went with her son to live with her sister in Danville. One of her co-workers was involved in Getting Ahead, and she invited her to come. Through her new connections at Getting Ahead, she found an apartment with opportunity housing and furnishings for that apartment through Fill the Need, so she could work and live in Greencastle. Laura Ellsbrock, with adult education, helped her earn certifications to get a better paying job. She purchased her first home at the end of 2021. After 2.5 years of starting with Getting Ahead, and her son has benefited from this newfound stability. That brings us to top 10, number 8. I've only got one hand. Drum roll. Families are being transformed through Getting Ahead. Getting Ahead has served 62 individuals over the last 10 years, but that number expands when you count the family members who've also been positively affected. We've seen many families move up on the poverty level scale, like the woman I told you about earlier. We have had 11 Getting Ahead participants who have bought their first homes. And we think that that is huge. That's not a goal we set for anybody, but those are goals that they have for themselves. Two of our participants have started new businesses. 6 have completed educational goals, whether it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or just some certifications. 2 single moms were able to bring their children back into a now stable home. And 9 are giving back in some way as a result of the encouragement that they received. So that leads us to top 10, number 7. Thank you, Andrew. I don't have to tell you that the cost of poverty is staggering to our society. But as each family moves out of poverty, fewer government benefits are received, more taxes are paid, and most importantly, more children can live in stability. At a recent Getting Ahead reunion, one participant said, "Everything good that has happened to me branched from Getting Ahead. It changed my self-perception. For the first time, I saw what I wanted for my life and that I was worthy." Many Getting Ahead participants have shared that building new, positive connections is the most important part of Getting Ahead, and that it inspired hope when they felt hopeless. Looking back over the past 10 years, those participants said getting out of poverty is not a straight line. It has ups and downs and ups and downs, and it takes a lot of perseverance. And they were encouraging each other in that thought. But seeds are planted, and sometimes they grow at different rates, and they produce different kinds of fruit. But there is fruit. Getting Ahead meets every Thursday at Gobin Church from 6 to 8 p.m. We start with a meal together that's donated by someone in the community. We provide free childcare. We don't want to have any barriers for people participating. And that also helps us take a 2-generational approach to reducing poverty. New people can join us any Thursday night. That's the beauty of it. Because we're meeting weekly, they can come at any time and join in with us and get to know people and start to feel comfortable. And then as we have 5 to 10 new people, we offer a training, usually a couple times a year. And that training gives them some specific tools and gives them time to dream and plan what they want their future story to be. And then, here, this is the key, as a community, we walk with them as they develop that future story, and it may take 12 to 18 months or longer, but we are with them and in the process and provide community support. So I want to introduce two of our facilitators are here today. So if you would wave, Carl Singer and Russell Harvey. If you would raise your hands and wave. Yes. They facilitate our training when that comes around. I have two allies who are present today also. If you would raise your hands, Nancy Rude and Barbara Jackson. And then I have some super volunteers I want to introduce to you. Debbie Leonard and Vicki Montgomery have helped us with childcare for many, many, many years. If you guys would raise your hands. And Marge Smith, would you raise your hand, Marge? I have to tell you about Marge. Marge just turned 96. And until COVID, she was organizing all of our meals for Getting Ahead and all of our cleanup details. She's an amazing woman, and we are grateful. Just a few of our volunteers who are here today, we wanted to acknowledge. We are not naive. Poverty is a big problem, always has been and always will be. But families are being transformed one at a time. One at a time. And the key is building relationships, intentional relationships across income lines. And that brings us to top 10, number 6. And another program that we do. Pay It Forward provides interest-free loans to individuals to empower them to achieve their goals. And these are individuals who have gone through Getting Ahead. We've been able to offer 9 loans to 6 individuals since the fall of 2018. These loans increase an individual's opportunity for long-term economic gain and may be used to increase education, work skills, or to remove barriers for gainful employment. 2 of the 6 loans have been used to provide vehicles so that people can get to and from work. 3 were used by one individual, one young entrepreneur we have, who has built a brand new business and couldn't have done it. You're going to hear her story in just a moment. Couldn't have done it without the help of these loans. Now, the loans are set up through Teachers Credit Union, one of our community partners, and this loan not only changes someone's circumstances, it helps them to build positive credit, which is huge. And as the loans are repaid, the fund is built up to offer another loan, and that's where we get the name Pay It Forward. So let me have them share their stories. Watch this video.
Going into Getting Ahead, I didn't have a license. I was trying to go back to school, single mom, 4 kids. It was a challenge every day to try to figure out day-to-day life.
Well, I always kind of dreamed of being a business owner, not necessarily in that industry, but it was a dream that I had. I didn't know it was possible for me though, from where I was.
And it essentially was just a program that someone handed me a flyer and got shoved in a drawer for probably 3-4 months. Until I had to go through the junk drawer to make room. Looking at it turned into, can't hurt to go to a free class in, 2 nights a week. They watch my kids, and I get dinner. Like, why not? Go. What could I lose? And I ended up gaining way more than I ever thought or imagined.
So I became a business owner in January of 2021. I give most of the credit of me becoming a business owner to the Pay It Forward program, as well as my community and the connections I made through the Getting Ahead program. Well, the concept of the program is just that, okay, so you have like a class of people that are wanting change in their life, but maybe they don't have a great income, or they don't have a great education or a great background. And here is this program, Pay It Forward, that is willing to take a chance on you and to trust in you, here's your opportunity to actually make a difference in your life.
I really wanted to go back to school and finish show my kids that no matter what you go through, you can always accomplish what you put your mind to. And so that was my goal, is just to get through school, to show them that no matter the obstacle, if you set your goals, you can get to them.
I decided I wanted to become a home inspector. And I really didn't have a clear vision of the end at that point, but I had an opportunity to pursue an education in that. So the fees were more than what I had saved at that time. And so I knew about Pay It Forward through my friends at Getting Ahead. And so I applied for the loan to cover my exam, my schooling, and my licensing fee. And I was approved for that. And so I started my schooling for that. After I was approved for the loan, I had to acquire an insurance policy. And that was another chunk of change that I didn't have at that time. So really it made it all possible for me. And it's just been such an awesome thing to be a business owner, and my business is going well, and all because of Getting Ahead and Pay It Forward.
Well, we bought a house November of 2020. So now we have our own house that they can, essentially have their own rooms. They can, if we want to paint, we can just get paint. It's not worried about if they're going to raise the rent next month, or, if they're going to sell the house under us and evict us. Plus, they got to see their mom graduate, which I think was a big stepping moment for everybody. Just to see that no matter what we went through, Mom accomplished one of her biggest goals ever. In the long run, I've had a good paying job, so, we can do extra things like going on vacation next week. So, I think they've benefited a lot through it. Being a single mom, they grow right along with me in senses where they maybe shouldn't have to, but they do, and I think it's making them stronger for it.
And I'm also a mother of 3 wonderful children, and I feel like this whole experience that I've had has really impacted their lives as well. That they have been able to see that you can really, you can make something of your life, out of nothing. And I hope that they see from that their mom is a strong individual, and of course my faith is the main aspect of all of this, to hold it together, and for that to be a witness to them, that's my hope from it.
Because of Getting Ahead, I went back to school, got my license back, went to Ivy Tech, got a degree, and got an awesome paying job a few years later. So Getting Ahead helped me learn my future story, where I was at, and what I needed to do for myself to get where I wanted to be. And using all of the steps that Getting Ahead taught me got me to where I am now. And it's crazy to think how my story then is completely different than what my story is now, or what my story looks like for the future in 5 years. Getting Ahead changed my life for the better in many ways.
Going through the program kind of helped me build that confidence and to feel like I have the resources and just the community around me that had my back in that. And I think that helped make it possible for me. I couldn't have thought this up for my own life. The way it's all played out has been such a blessing and more than I could have dreamed of.
We didn't tell them what to say. That all came right out of their hearts. It's just beautiful. and every story is unique. It took Erin 6 years from when she started before she bought her home. That, like we said, poverty, you don't get out of poverty in a straight line like that's going straight up. It's just like, and she persevered and again taught her kids the benefit of something like that. Her oldest son is graduating from high school this year and looking at further education, so we're excited for them. Life change like this is worth celebrating, but there's even more to be done to assure that more stories like these can be shared. Not only can you give financially to make this happen, you can also volunteer. You can get a group together to organize a meal for Getting Ahead. You can volunteer with the children's education part, especially when you need help in the summer when DePauw students are not available. Or you can become an ally. An ally is an intentional friend who joins the community and just offers their life experience and their encouragement to our community members. We lost a super ally in Ann Newton this past December. She knew everybody and had connections to everyone, and she was just everybody's best ally. But you also have contacts and experiences, and you know people in the community that can be of help to others, and you can be a volunteer, you can be an ally, and join our community on Thursday nights. We'll even train you, so together we can make a difference. So through Getting Ahead and Pay It Forward, we empower adults, but Transformers also empowers youth through 2 programs. And so I want to introduce Carol Miller, who is the coordinator for our Kids Hope Gobin chapter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have to share with you our top 10, number 5. The Kids Hope Gobin chapter has been providing positive adult role models to elementary students for 4 years. So when I was approached several years ago about coordinating a brand new Transformers mentoring program called Kids Hope, I was a bit overwhelmed to say the least, but at the same time excited at this new opportunity for our community. As a former high school teacher and mentor to at-risk youth, I've seen and experienced firsthand the impact that mentoring can have on not only the child, but also the adult. So that brings us to Kids Hope, which is a national mentoring program that partners one church with one school in the community. And actually, our partnering schools are 2, Deer Meadow and TZ. And for 1 hour each week, a mentor enters the school and enters the life of a young person who's in need of some extra support, love, and encouragement. So what does our chapter look like? We have currently 13 mentor-student pairs. My mentors all go on different days, and I coordinate that with all of the teachers. I ask that a mentor gives me a 1-year commitment. We know that the consistency is important for these kids. So a year is needed to build trust and to develop that relationship. There's a saying in the program, once a Kids Hope kid, always a Kids Hope kid. So even if a mentor chooses not to return the following school year, it is my job to find a new mentor for that student. Now, as you all know, we're kind of in a unique school system where our K through 5 is not in one building. But thankfully, the administration and staff at TZ has welcomed our program. So these students and mentors transition seamlessly from Deer Meadow to TZ when they enter 3rd grade. And lastly, since our chapter started in 2018, we've served over 20 students. I'm going to be honest, I want to do more. That number is too low for me. The need is there, the need is great, and to serve that need, I need more mentors. I briefly wanted to share the Kids Hope model. It's this kind of circle pie graphic, but it's not a traditional homework help hour. So there's academic support, of course, but there's also other pieces to that puzzle. For instance, creative play, like maybe doing Legos or painting with the students. Good old-fashioned play, going outside and playing soccer, shooting baskets. And then there are 2 kind of key slices of that circle that should always happen each week. One is the planning section, and so that's when the mentor says to the student, what do you want to do today? I've got a couple options, we can do these games, you've got a little homework to work on, what do you want to do first? And that gives the student that feeling of choice and a little bit of power and control. And then the other section that should always happen is the know what. And that's when you check in with the student. How's your week going? What's been going on in your life? And again, that goes back to the relationship building between the mentor and the student. So the students that we serve, these are some photos that I took just recently of some of our mentors working with our kids. These students are nominated by teachers, counselors, principals. Some need academic support. Many of them are low-level readers. Some live with one parent or grandparent or go back and forth between the two. I would say a lack of stability is a common theme with these kids. Their life stories and experiences are not always easy to hear. Kids Hope has a saying, just show up. And that means that just being that consistent presence each week, offering a listening ear, can have a huge impact on their lives. All the kids look forward to that mentoring hour. They know the day, they know the time that mentors comes. They know they will call you out, which they've done to me if you are late, 10 minutes late. They say, where have you been? It's the highlight of the week for many of them. And that brings us to top 10, number 4. The lives of children and adults are being impacted through Kids Hope. So I think personally the beautiful thing about mentoring is that it's this kind of symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship that you serve as a mentor thinking you want to give, and then you realize how much you're getting back. And these kids shower the mentors with love and hugs and true inspiration. So since the kids can't be here, they're all at school, as you know, I wanted to share a few comments from them. So I asked them, if your mentor could help you with anything, what would it be? And this student said, everything, because we are friends. I would love to take her snake hunting. Now, I know this mentor, and she would not be on board for that. But because he loves it so much, I think she might know. And then I asked also, if you could tell your mentor anything, what would it be? And one student said, I want you to come every day. We hear that a lot. Another student said, I would tell her that I love her and thank her for being my friend. So now I want to share a short video that tells you a little bit more about the impact of Kids Hope.
So I have to say that the program has just been amazing this year. I've been here at TZ for 3 years, and in the time that I've been here, I've seen lots of Kids Hope mentors come through. I feel like any time a mentor comes into our building, the kids are really excited to see them. They'll have extra good behavior on those days so that they can be with their mentor.
I've been a Kids Hope mentor for almost 4 years. When I chose to become a mentor, my mentee that I was paired with in that relationship was in 1st grade. He is now in 4th grade, so we've had sort of this whole time together.
I didn't become a Kids Hope mentor though until about a year into the program, because I didn't think I wanted to give my time. I didn't know if I'd be any good at it. It made me a little nervous to think that I was going to have to be with a little one, 1st grader, even like a grandkid, every week, and try to give positive influence on their lives, which is really what a mentor does. Just that positive influence in a person's life.
The mentors, that social emotional learning piece, I think is so important to the students, just knowing how to be a citizen, how to accept responsibility, how to show empathy and love and kindness and gratitude, all of those things that maybe some of them aren't learning at home, but they can learn through their mentor.
Just a couple weeks ago, he said, "Do you remember when we were at Deer Meadow and you used to come every day?" I said, "What do you mean, buddy?" He said, "No, like at Deer Meadow you used to come every day." I said, "No, it's always just been 1 hour a week." And we just sort of reflected on that, and I was aware that, like, even though for him so much of school is a challenge, and I know he has those memories of the principal's office and the kind of daily routines that he would go through, for some reason he looks back on that time, and like one of the things he remembers is that we were always together, and that blew my mind because, again, it's 1 hour a week.
When I first met him in the 1st grade, he was not doing well in school. He was very disruptive. But as time went along, and he felt more sure about himself and realized that he had potential if only given the opportunity. So we can fast forward to today. As a fourth grader, now he is very proud to show me how he can determine a parameter, how he can determine the mathematical formula for an area, and he's just doing beautifully well, excelling in his academics, and his behavioral problems have just virtually gone away.
You know, if you look back at Maslow's kind of hierarchy of needs, you need that foundational stuff, relationships and love and support. And if you can't have the Bloom's piece of it, the academic piece, until you have that Maslow piece.
So much of our time is characterized by silliness and play, which I just think is really important for him to have those times where he's laughing, and we just do a lot of laughing. Every once in a while, in the midst of that, or in the midst of doing something else, working on the schoolwork, he'll just kind of pop a question like, I wonder if my mom ever did really love me, or some kind of like earth-shattering thing, which is just like this little invitation to say, can you go with me to this place? And so I get to be there to say, yeah, let's talk about that. Every once in a while he knows that relationship is significant and stable enough that he can do that kind of stuff.
I credit the teachers at the school systems, but I think it is also very much a part of having one person who's there every week, come hell or high water, being just there for him, his advocate. Nobody else's advocate, the little one's advocate. And I think that's meant a lot.
We had 2 students in a fight. Both of them have mentors of some kind in the building. And when they came down to the office, I was able to just talk briefly to them. And both students were able to take responsibility for their actions. And it was just kind of nice just to see them have a conversation with one another, to be able to problem solve on their own. And I do think that having a mentor has helped them be able to do that.
It's amazing in the times where if I sit at the lunch table or something, all the kids want that experience of the attention of an adult. I mean, to have that for 1 hour a week is incredible.
I'm older, and it's been the best decision I've made probably in much of my life. It's just been a great experience. It's not a tutoring program, as the teacher said this year. Just be there for him, make him feel good about himself, do things that he enjoys doing and that he can accomplish. And that's what we are all about.
My assumption is this is the kind of program where people think like, oh, I can do that, I wouldn't know how to do it. And that's where Kids Hope National, great resources. So for me to feel that way and then to look through it and say like, oh yeah, okay, I can do this. There is a plan, there's a pie chart, they teach you how to, they give you tons of resources, more than you could ever, hope to use. But there's a need. I mean, there's so many students, kids in this community that would love the opportunity to spend 1 hour a week with an adult who gives them their full attention. I think that's what we need for this program to grow.
I would encourage people to step up. If you don't think you can, if you don't think you've got the time, say you will for a while, then you'll get hooked, like I did. And the mentoring need is great. There's more kids than we can even imagine that need someone just to come and be their friend, and to be there for them. One of the things I want to be sure and share is that this year he was Student of the Month, 2 different months. That's an amazing thing. So anyway, Kids Hope is an amazing program, and we need your support.
And I have several Kids Hope mentors here. Would you raise your hand? Opt in. Are interested, they have the stories they have are unbelievable. So they're the people to talk to, the mentors. So mentoring at its core provides young people with an adult who cares about them, assures them they are not alone in dealing with day-to-day challenges, and makes them feel like they matter. And that brings us to our other mentoring program, the Talks program, and also our next top 10. Top 10 number 3, Talks has mentored over 400 students in 3 county schools. So while Kids Hope focuses on the elementary age students, Talks is a mentoring program for at-risk middle and high school students who've been identified by their school counselors. Now, Suzanne Funk, who some of you may know, serves as the Talks coordinator, and unfortunately she couldn't be here today, so I'm going to be speaking on her behalf. Talks trains both community members and DePauw students to be mentors. Last school year, due to COVID, the program went on hiatus, as the administration at most of the schools wanted to limit contact from the outside. The high school Talks coordinator, Dr. John Savage, who's right here, was the medical oracle, sitting with the students who had the chance to talk as a group and assuage their fears about COVID, as well as other topics normally covered. So in Talks, the mentoring relationship is one mentor paired with 3 students. The program's goals are to encourage improved academic achievement, build higher self-esteem, and increase positive school involvement, along with a reduction in risky behaviors and behavior referrals. In 2018, before COVID, 109 students from Greencastle, South Putnam, and Cloverdale school corporations were involved in the Talks mentoring program, along with 18 mentors from DePauw and 36 adults from various communities. The number of students who have participated in Talks since its inception in 2012 is 430. Now, Dr. John shares a story about a student who, when given his Talks book the first mentoring session of the year, chose to tear it up because he didn't like it. When Dr. John provided a replacement book the following week, the student took it but said he didn't want it. As the year progressed, the student continued to attend the mentoring sessions, sometimes with his book and sometimes not. And toward the end of the year, the student approached Dr. John and asked if he could get another copy of the book. John assumed he'd torn it up again, but the student said no. He wanted to get a copy and give it to his brother, as he thought he needed to read the book too. Through Talks, we can make a difference one student at a time. And now I would like to introduce Judy Purvis for a few final words.
Looking out and seeing an awful lot of good friends to Transformers. I know many of you have been with Transformers since its inception, and so we thank you for that. Because Transformers is empowering youth and adults to envision and achieve an improved future with the engagement of the community, people like you. Transformers, which began as an outreach of Gopin United Methodist Church, has now become a community-wide opportunity. We have volunteers from over 8 faith communities, 3 philanthropic groups, and 9 area businesses. We connect with local communities, resources like adult education, family support services, and the Purdue Extension Office. We have been supported by grants from the Putnam County Community Foundation as we have developed new programs, and COVID relief money from the United Way of Putnam County. We are part of the United Way of Central Indiana's online volunteer portal and have one new volunteer that drives from Broad Ripple to come to Getting Ahead every Thursday. Now that's pretty amazing. So now we have our top 10, number 2. We can stretch donations because of our amazing volunteers. We have 3 paid staff that are only paid for 5 to 10 hours a week. Our volunteers serve 77 hours per week. That was during the 2019 year. Of course, you know COVID kind of was an interruption there. That includes mentors and allies, donated meals, DePaul students, community members, and our Transformer team members. If you are on the Transformers team, would you please, it says stand, but we're a little crazy here, so let's wave your hand if you're a part of the Transformers team. Elizabeth, did your name get up on that? Yeah. And now for the Transformers top 10, number 1. Now you can make our community a better place. And it takes all of us working together to make it happen. So I hope as you're sitting there right now, you're asking the question, how can I join the work that is being done by Transformers? Well, as Laurie mentioned earlier, first of all, you can share your time and your talents as a volunteer. At your table, you'll notice that there's a paper that shows the ways that you can help transform a life. It lists opportunities for how to serve each program specifically. So if one particularly rang your bells, you can look directly at that program and see how you can volunteer, but please look at them all. Volunteers are needed to provide dinners for getting ahead, to be allies, to be mentors, to stuff envelopes, to make phone calls, to write grants, to recruit getting ahead participants, and on and on and on. And as you heard Carol say, Kids Hope mentors are so sorely needed. Transformers runs primarily with volunteers, and we need you. Secondly, you can share your treasures and support the programs financially. Transformers has a budget of $30,000 a year, and that's not even a living wage for one family of 4. For our 10th anniversary, our goal is to raise $20,000 from this breakfast. And we're small, and we're local. We don't have a storefront and are not eligible for large grants that usually look for agencies that are statewide or nationally wide in order to be a grantor. We have been a part of a national movement for mentoring both youth and adults and have learned valuable lessons from them. But the bottom line is, we are residents of Putnam County who want to empower our neighbors to a better life. And we count on you, our fellow neighbors, to give to support this work. Giving generously of any amount you can afford and are able will be greatly appreciated and makes a tangible difference in our community. In particular, we are seeking individuals able to make leadership gifts of $1,000 or more to help us meet our $20,000 goal. Now, you may have already filled out the card where you're located. There's room on the front of the card to indicate that you're interested in learning more about what it can be to be a volunteer. Someone will contact you within a week if you fill out the front of that card, and if you would like, you can talk to one of the program coordinators yet here this morning. On the back of the card, you can indicate the amount of money you would like to donate. You can give today, online, or by check. You will receive a receipt from Goldman for tax purposes. Your contribution is tax deductible, well, within the limits that are new these days. If you would like to support to be a champion or a sustainer, one of those top levels on the back of that card, you can make your contribution over a period of time. You don't need to write that big check out today. Just note that, if you would, on your card. All donations, regardless of the amount, are very much appreciated and needed by Transformers to move forward in its mission of empowering youth and adults to envision and achieve an improved future. We'll give you just a few minutes to fill out your card, and please consider giving generously. When you complete the card, place it in the large manila envelope, which is in the right. I think you've already found it. There you go. Your table host will pass it around if you haven't already figured out how to do that. Thank you.
We promised to have you out of here in an hour, and I think we've achieved that. So please take the time to fill out those cards. I, right now, am going to make a pledge in cash of $251 in Ann Newton's name. I challenge somebody to match me. $251. That moved me up a bracket, too. That's why there's a 1 in there. So please, fill out your cards, and thank you again for being here this morning. Very important, and I'm so glad to see all of your faces, your full face. Thank you so much.